Hey, what's up, builders? It's your girl, Cantonette the blogger, and you are now listening to the LBF podcast. This is a very special, very unique episode, and I have Neek Cruz here of the Relationship Status podcast. Say something for the builders, Neek. And I have a very special guest too. She was on the Women's Health Vagina Monologues about season 2, if I'm not mistaken. So, Keisha, back again. Say something for the
Hi.
builders.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about sex, love, and dating after 30. And of course, we know that I just turned 30.
30,
So
30.
30.
right. It's really just research for me. Hopefully I don't know a lot of older people that would be willing to have this conversation. So maybe that'll happen at some point during the podcasting. But for now, I have you wonderful ladies. So let's start with your age if you're comfortable with saying it. If not, we can move on. We'll start with you, Neek.
All right, I'm 34. I'm about to be 35.
How close is your birthday coming up?
I'm June.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a little time. Any
But
special
I'm
plans?
ready. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Wine tasting with my friends. I
Oh,
celebrate the entire month. I buy
yes.
myself a gift every day.
Yeah. I don't know about every day. It gets a
Oh,
little
no, every
expensive.
day. No, because I do small gifts.
Okay.
Just
And
little
then you
fun
build
gifts,
up.
like a dollar gift
Yeah.
here or there.
I'm
Yeah.
not even mad at it. I go all out for my birthdays. Like I go crazy.
I do too. It's my new year.
Why are you shaking your head at me, Keisha?
Because you go all out, do everything.
It's a holiday.
Yeah.
I agree.
You have to celebrate yourself.
You have to. So y'all around the same age. You want to tell the builders how old you are, Keisha?
I'm 35. I'll be 36 in October.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got that like kind of like a middle ground at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm learning too.
I'm telling you. So we'll start here. What do we want now in our 30s that we didn't want or we didn't even think about when we were in our 20s? From your own perspective. It don't have to be a clean answer. It can even be something simple.
Any answer.
Yeah.
For me, I started to realize I don't know what I want. I don't. I had an idea of what I wanted when I was younger, and I would focus on that so much to realize, like, when I actually got it, I didn't want it.
Right.
So, like, now I'm just kind of figuring that out.
And that's an honest place to start from because you have all these expectations and like you said, all these ideas. And a lot of them are socialized, right? So we have
Yeah.
these ideas that are placed on us or that we're conditioned to feel like we want these
Exactly.
things. But then when we actually get some of them or when we grow a little bit as a person, we realize like this
I don't
don't
want
fit.
that.
This
Yeah.
ain't it.
We're
What about
meant
you,
to.
Keisha?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we're kind of meant to feel like we deserve to have certain things when really we don't even know we want it.
Right. Or even if it's going to be a good fit for our personality and our
Yeah, our
deepest
life.
desires. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like marriage and kids. That's not
Yeah,
allowed.
yeah.
Keisha, I know you on the other side of this. What do you think?
So for me, as I got older, I realized I want stability.
Mm,
Still have fun, but I definitely want that stability, no drama, and be able to take it, day by day with no stress. I don't got time for all that,
right.
and live life to the fullest.
I agree with
Definitely.
that. Definitely stability, security. What do I want now that I didn't want in my I feel like I've been old forever.
Just
Or
turned
had an
30.
older mindset. You've always felt like you've, thought certain ways, but in reality, I know what I've wanted changed. And sometimes it's the small stuff. I used to care about I don't know, I can't even articulate it, but I used to care about things that really didn't matter. And it's the small things that I'm starting to realize I want. I want somebody that
Hmm.
cleans up after themselves.
Oh yeah.
Somebody who I don't have to teach certain things. But somebody who is willing to learn if I do have to, teach you something about how to be in this life with me. Um, and from my own personal, standpoint, I want to have fun, like you said. I want to get to a space where I feel like I've been grinding all my 20s. I want to be able to experience life a little bit more and not be so anxious all the time. So, that's what's been changing for me towards the end of my 20s, as opposed to, I just, like I said, I just turned 30, so it's going to be interesting to see what else I'll say in the next couple of years.
Oh, a lot is going to change, trust me.
I can imagine. So I can imagine. So hopefully I'm starting off right though. How do we approach love now in our 30s as opposed to how we approached it in our 20s? How do you approach love?
I
Why
don't know
you
what to
look
go.
shy? What you said?
I was gonna go ahead and let Keisha go because she looked like she was like, oh.
Now I approach it more honesty. Um, let them know this is what I am gonna do. This is what I'm not gonna do. Because as you get older, you don't want to create a habit or let something build, and then later on it's like, okay, I really can't deal with it.
Right. I should have
Mhm.
said something back then. That
I
red
should have
flag
said
or
something.
something.
And then
Yeah.
because when you start loving somebody,
Mm.
lusting somebody, or start dropping them clothes for them, having sex with them, it started making things difficult when you want to cut them off because of stuff you should have said about before.
Yeah. Start
I
making it
had
blurry.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
this quote that I said, and I think I said it before on the podcast, but I had a saying where I was like, I let silence keep me in a lot of situations that speaking my mind should have gotten me out of. And that was a lot of my 20s. In my 30s, I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do.
Well, take that filter off.
You going to be okay
Take that
with it or you
filter
not. But that's not going to change my mind, and setting that boundary, especially even when it comes to love, because a lot of times we let like you said, the guise of love, we let it get away with a lot of stuff, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
can set boundaries with everybody else, but when we get our heart involved, it's like we make it more difficult for us to be raw and messy and honest and
Mm-hmm.
blunt, but now I'm learning that the truest form of any love is to be your honest and full self. And that means coming with boundaries. That means coming with, what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept, so that you can get the kind of love that you deserve. Yeah. What about you, Neat?
Okay, approaching love. I look at it completely different now than I did when I was 20
Mm-hmm.
something. Um, I approach it with no expectations. I think I had said this before to you, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone looked at me crazy. And the reason why is because I don't put a lot of time into nothing. And what I mean by that is I don't give someone a lot of my time up front. Like the long conversation. I'm not gonna sit on the phone with you and talk to you for a month and never go out with you. Like, when are we going out? Like,
Got you.
it's like, come on, what are we doing?
You need action
So
behind it.
yeah, so that's why when I go into it, I don't have any expectations, because I'm looking at you for the first time and I'm allowing you to show me who you are. So I'm kind of going into it with my eyes wide open,
All right.
watching what you do and what you show me, and really listening with my eyes instead
Really
of,
listening.
yeah, instead of closing, turning a blind eye to those red flags that I really need to pay attention to. All because, when you're on the phone, it's different. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can fall in lust over the phone, and then the next thing you know, you go out with this individual, you kind of feel obligated to continue on because you like the way that person made you feel over the phone.
Oh, you speaking
No,
from experience.
yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, well, yeah, I am speaking from experience. So, like, I go ahead and get that date out of the way. Like, hey, let's go out. Like, and it doesn't even have to be, no major big date. I approach it so much differently, because in my 20s, it was like, oh, you had to have money. You had to take me here. You had to take me
Right.
there. No, I'm not going out with you. No, no. Let's let's have a real conversation. Let's face to
Yeah.
face.
I think that's important to not only get the first date out the way, get the first couple of months out the way.
Yes.
Because that, when you start really being in someone's life, right? So when you
Mhm.
start, being a part of their routine, you start to really see who that person is, because you can only keep up a mask for so much, but we're so
Mhm.
quick to, paint these pictures for each other about who we are. on the surface, that is just like, now let me get to the meat and potatoes
Yep.
of what's, going on underneath all that. But you said something important. You started off with, how you differed from your 20s. In my 20s, oh, love was a fairy tale. Love was Disney.
Yes.
Love,
Somebody was gonna come sweep me off my feet.
that was it.
Right.
And it was that simple for me. So it was just like whenever I did feel like I was in love, it was a total body experience. It was a total life experience. And I lost myself in the relationships because I allowed love, romantic love at least, to be the focal point. So when you're coming from that mindset, you make a lot of mistakes, as I did with losing yourself as a woman. So if I'm getting with someone who's, not even a man yet, and I'm still, pouring everything into him, I made a lot of mistakes with just not giving myself the kind of self-care and self-love that I needed to sustain and to grow as a woman. So I'm definitely not doing that and haven't been doing that for a while. But it was a necessary mistake that I made and that a lot of us make in our 20s. Hopefully you grow out of it. So
Oh, yeah, you do. You
You
right.
really do.
will.
That's
Well,
why
some people
I always,
don't.
well, that's why I always tell people to remove an expectation. And I know everybody says, no, you have to have expectations. No, people give you expectations.
Yeah.
And we bring over those expectations from past situations.
Hmm.
And you go into it with, I'm going to expect this out of this individual when, and I hate to put that on a new individual coming in my life. Like, I'm not going to tolerate certain things. Yes, I'm going to take that with me. But as far as like, oh, I have to have flowers on the first date, that individual may come a lot stronger than just flowers. So I can't just say, okay, he didn't bring me flowers. He may bring me flowers on the fourth date. He may have his own standards of where he wants to go to or head to. So I don't like to put expectations on it. And I have to, at 34, I really had to look at it and approach love completely differently with an open mind and look at it in a different light.
Right. So you're saying putting expectations on the way that they date you. Because for me, I'm just like, I think my expectation starts with how you show up. So you not showing up with the basics of like being an adult, no, I can't rock with you. I don't need you coming and you have less than me and you're struggling in a way that I would have to help you in some ways. And I don't think that, for me, that comes from a place of constantly being someone who puts on a cape for people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to be careful not to put myself back into that space, because once I care, once we get our heart involved again, we're gonna do anything and everything for the people that we love. And so if I can make a standard at least for how you show up and how you present yourself and how you're operating already solo in your life, then that prevents me from getting in a situation where I'm compromising what I really deserve.
But that's your standard.
Right.
I have that as well. That's your standard. Your standard and your expectation is two different things. Your standard is the quality that you want out of an individual. So
Hmm.
I want my standard for someone. I want somebody that's stable financially, mentally, emotionally. I just want a stable individual because that's what I bring to the table. So I
Right.
completely understand that. But my expectation is what I expect from that person out of that relationship, and I
Right.
can't put that on them before we're even in the relationship. So that's why I go with I don't have an expectation on them as of yet, because I
Hmm.
don't want to be dating them in my head before I'm actually dating them.
Got you. See, I think the one of the first episodes I did, I think it was relationship status. And we were talking about going Dutch on the first date, and I was like,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
mind. Like for me, I was just like, if we're coming equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means I'm getting to know you, you're getting to know me. I don't mind going Dutch on the first date. After that, yes, of course, there is going to be some kind of a standard where I expect to feel more feminine in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways with you taking care of certain things. And I'm going to allow you to, have your own standards on how I should operate in your life as well. But I think it's all personalized. It's all about what you
Definitely.
can handle and what your experiences have shaped you to, like you said, expect or not expect.
Hmm.
Keisha, you want to let them know what love journey you on right now?
So, Chris, I'm gonna get you. Hey, internet. So I've been engaged for about a year and a half now. So I'm on starting
Congrats.
on this. It's been a while. So I'm starting on this journey to plan for my wedding and everything.
Yeah, I've
So
been getting on that butt about this wedding planning.
yeah, so I'm on that journey of planning my wedding, and for the late summer. So just trying to make it happen.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has
Yes.
transitioning from singleness into, a couple been for you?
So I tell anybody, especially I tell you and anybody that talks about relationship, just make sure that's what you want, because you're gonna go into learning what you can and cannot, what you will and will not tolerate,
Hmm.
and then you got to know when to make that sacrifice, and you got to compromise, because now you're letting a whole individual into your space, and it can't. You got to realize it can't always be about you, and what
Right.
you think is common sense may not be common sense to them. So you got to have that patience to explain to them, hey, I ain't with that, or hey, we need to work on this because
Right.
this happened and I'm not tolerating this, so I'm not used to this.
Right.
And then you got to look at the family, if they got kids.
Because
Because
I asked, because at this moment in time, I'm transitioning from singleness into,
Oh,
it's
into a
hard for me.
relationship.
Whew, I can't even say the word, but I'm transitioning. And I'm realizing a lot of the small stuff, right? So being single for a while, or even having a different kind of past relationship, and going into something that's a everyday thing, right? So I'm used to having long distance relationships. This one is not long distance. Um, and so it's really incorporating somebody into your life in a way I have never done before. Pretty much all of my relationships have been long distance. So with this happening, I'm realizing it's the small stuff that really matters. It's the, did you pick your socks up off the floor? Who gonna cook? Who doing the grocery shopping? You know what I'm
okay,
saying? Who getting up to let the pet out so it can pee and poop and eat and stuff. Like, it's a lot.
and a lot of people talk, oh, I want a relationship, but
Mhm.
it's different when you can go back home to your own house. Like he goes to his place
Hmm.
and you go to yours. But then when you're moving in, like you say, you got to talk about the little stuff, because you got to talk about the bills. What
Hmm.
if you come short of your bill?
Well,
Or
we both
if I
come
bought,
short.
well, what happened?
Well, we both come short. Like, we gonna-
Right. Where's our backup plan? Or if I pay this bill for you, that just don't mean that I don't want my money back. I want my money back. Little things like that. And like you said, taking the pet out, or making sure that if you come home early, why are you waiting for me to cook? Why can't you cook? You was
and if
home
I
all
cook, who cleaning the dishes?
that part. Or if you cook, don't make this big old mess and expect for me to clean it up, because I didn't I didn't cook, so I ain't clean it up. That's just
Why
my
do
motto.
men make such a mess in the kitchen? I don't
All on the
understand.
floor.
Because you know
Why
what?
is
Men are not used to being able to cook big meals for more than one person than themselves.
maybe that's true, but this is so even challenging those gender roles too. So in my new situation, the person cooks more than me, and they
Oh,
cook better than me. So I don't
you're like,
mind.
okay, I'll stay out in the kitchen.
I don't mind doing it. I mean, I cook sometimes, but I don't mind doing the grocery shopping for that. You know what I'm saying? So, even that and for me to get to a point where I thought, I had kind of figured out, dating and matured a lot in it and going into a situation I had never been before. It began to see the dynamics and the things that really matter on a day-to-day basis, because that patience, that compromise, that communication is what will sustain or kill that connection. And I had gotten to a point at some point in my 20s where I was just like, I ain't gonna teach no man how to do nothing, blah, 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 blah. If you're gonna be in a relationship,
You're gonna do some teaching
you're
because
gonna
you
do
got
some
it.
teaching and you're gonna
There's
do
two
some
different.
learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got called out for the first time and it felt like forever by my partner. And I was just like, this how it feel when I call other people out. This don't feel great. Like, I'm perfect.
How did you react?
I
Yes.
accepted it. At first, your first reaction is to go on the defense, right?
Not always.
Not always, but for someone who was used to always,
Having
looking
your
at
own
how
space.
other people need, and I'm a real empathetic person, so it's usually I can catch certain stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, not saying I kid about the perfection thing, but I try to make everybody's experience with me a good one,
Mm-hmm.
at least in relationships. But when you miss something and when you realize that it's like you have flaws, but when you interact so closely with someone, they can call out exactly what those flaws are. It's a different experience. Because for me, for so long, it's just been me and then, me interacting with my friends and stuff like that. But it's a different level of getting to know yourself through the lens of someone else that a relationship brings you to. And so for me, it was just like I said, my first reaction was to think, "Oh, you tripping," and then I really had to like sit back and be like, "No,
Wow.
you're
You need to
right.
fix.
Yeah.
I need to fix that."
But it's definitely different sharing your space with someone. My first apartment, um, I lived with a guy, and it was completely different. I wasn't even 30 yet. No, matter of fact, no, I was just turning 30. Yes, I was just
That was
turning
your first
30.
time ever living with a guy?
First time ever living with a guy. I remember because I remember he bought me a book for my birthday. Um, we never had a conversation about bills because he was moving into my apartment.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he kind of just, how you kind of get stuck spending the night all the time, and then eventually it's just like, okay, you're here.
Yeah.
And then you start to unfold and find out, okay, what bill are you going to take on?
We kind of living together at this point.
Yeah. And it got to a point where it's like, I can't really afford to take on all of the bills. So that was a big conversation, but it was definitely an experience. And it was an experience because like I'm a person that I like my alone time.
Yes.
And I'm used to being alone. I'm the only
Right.
girl. I'm used to having my space. I have a lot of friends, but when I'm by myself, I'm by myself.
And I'm
So
enjoying being solo dolo.
yeah, I enjoy coming home and not having to answer to anybody or anything like that.
Don't talk to me when I get here.
Yeah.
Let
So
me
that
digress from work.
Okay.
yeah. So to have to share my bed with an individual.
Oh my God, that was the small thing too. I've been having the worst pains in my neck. So my neck has always been a problem with me. But it's like when you're starting to sleep as a couple, when you're used to sleeping as a single person, that's a whole nother thing.
Yes.
Does the person like the TV on? Do I don't sleep in the dark. So what we gotta do, we gotta get a nightlight.
Yeah, because
Sleep
I
with
sleep
the
with the
fan
TV
on.
on.
The fan. It's hot in here. I need some air circulating through here. I don't
But
sleep with the door open.
but
Having the
it's so
pillows.
crazy. Those things are very small, and we complain about them just a little bit. Like God, like if I was in the bed by myself, I wouldn't have these issues.
Mm-hmm.
But after experiencing someone sleeping in your bed with you and having that comfort next to you, when they're not there for just one night,
Child, I
it's so
know.
different. It's so different.
So right now I'm splitting my time between my apartment and this person's apartment, right? So we do like half the week here, half the week, or the weekends are mine here, and then there. And that's how we operate to kind of incorporate each other into our own routine. So we neither one of us have to give up totally because I'm not to the point yet where I'm just like we're moving in together. That's a
Take your
big step for me.
time.
I've never done it.
Yeah, take your time.
But I mean, basically, it's like we are because we're splitting everything between households at this point. But I get to that point where I'm just like, I'm starting to get a little irritable. I'm starting to get a little anxious. I need to be in my own space or I need to be alone. And then when I come home, I'm just like,
you missed
bed
them.
cold. Why the bed so cold? The bed was this cold before when I was single. Like, so it's a learning process, definitely. But as far as like having the conversation about like merging households and everything, I have had it. And one of the things I have learned in my 20s, and I'm gonna incorporate continuously in my 30s, is to ask those questions like, how
Mm-hmm.
are your finances? Like, how do you divide up the bills? If you live with somebody, like, what would they be responsible for? Do you have a savings account? Because I've ran into these problems in my
Mm-hmm.
other connections with people. And granted, we didn't live together, but I know how important it is to feel secure.
It
And
is.
one of my biggest things to feel secure is to have somebody who is financially my equal or higher, as a partner, so that I don't ever have to feel like the burden is all on me.
Mhm.
So,
Just a word of advice. You don't have to take
oh no, no,
it.
I'm listening.
um, keep your space.
Oh, you ain't gotta
Keep
tell
your
me that,
space.
girl. No.
And the reason why I say that is because it's easy to be wrapped up in each other and want to spend a lot of time with each other. You
Mm-hmm.
have that option. You're always going to have that option. That option is never going to go away. But you're going to come to a point where you are an individual and you're not married.
Right.
Always have I can go home into my own environment and I don't have to leave my home for anybody.
Right. I've always said, if once I merge my household, or if I merge my household with a person of the male
Mm-hmm.
species or anybody really, I'm gonna need my own. We can have a master room. I'm gonna need
Mm-hmm.
another room. The master room
I
is
feel that
ours.
way too.
I need my own,
Yeah.
and the person that I'm dealing with now, they understand that. They understand like, oh, okay, like we need to have, if we choose to do this, we need to have enough space so you have your creative room, for you to have, the space that you need to do what you got to do. As long as we on the same page, I'm good with that. But I know myself well enough now, and I've done enough work to know like, once I've lost myself in so many other relationships, I
Mm-hmm.
know how important it is to just be an individual. And I've
Mm-hmm.
fallen in love with myself so much now that I don't think I can go back to just pouring everything and swallowing or being swallowed whole by a relationship. I don't think that's possible at this point.
Awesome. No,
Yeah.
but just that's my advice to turning 30.
Yeah. That's good advice. It really is, because a lot of people don't think of it. And it happens in small ways, because I just had a situation this week where I realized that, I wasn't losing myself
Mm-hmm.
completely, but it's in those, like, again, those small ways, like, okay, now my routine has completely changed. Who is giving up more of their routine? And how is that affecting the relationship or the individual? And I had to
Mm-hmm.
really be honest with myself about that and be like, girl, your routine all jacked up.
But I'm happy you're having those conversations with yourself
Oh
because a lot
yeah.
of people don't. A lot of people like completely disregard all of that and just kind of get lost in the relationship and
Hmm.
lose completely who they are. So I'm very happy that you're having those conversations with yourself, kind of stepping back and seeing what everything is. So you're not just walking into something and then before you know it, you're like, where am I?
Right. I think once I have that feeling of, oh wait, where we going? I'm asking questions. Like, once I realized like it was getting a little bit more serious, or probably by the second day, just like, what's going on? Like, what's happening here? So, yeah. So, how do you see love manifesting in your life, like going forward? What do you feel like the 40s, the 50s, the 60s will look like for you?
Woo. I'll be honest. I've never wanted to get married until I got into my 30s. I always just wanted one child, maybe, and that's it. Maybe a companion later on in life when I
Hmm.
turn like 60, 70, we can have paperwork. But I never wanted to be completely like just I'm somebody's until I got into my 30s.
Right.
Um, so now I kind of handle myself differently. Like when it comes to, I just got out of a relationship in last May.
Okay, so
So
it's still within a year.
Yeah, I'm still a
How's
little
your healing
fresh.
process going with that?
Relax, heal, and embrace a better you. Spa Danny offers quality yet affordable massages customized just for you. Let Danny create a space for you to hit the pause button. Who doesn't need that at the start of 2021? Why not start today? You can call or text at 843-687-2079. That's 843-687-2079. You can also message her on her business page at SpaDanny_ on Instagram, or follow her on Facebook at SpaDanny LLC. You can also book online at SpaDannyExperience.com. That's SpaDannyExperience.com. Treat yourself, be good to yourself, and let 2021 be a whole vibe.
Still a little fresh.
Still a little raw.
Still a little fresh. Still a little fresh. It's not completely. Well, we broke up in May of last year, and I completely left him alone last week.
Okay, wait
To
a
be
minute,
honest.
Nani.
To be honest.
Wait a minute, Nani. Let's rewind this.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I and the reason why is because I was trying too soon to be over it. Like, okay, it's
Trying to
easy.
rush yourself and not giving yourself grace.
And I was like, you know what? It's I don't want him to think that I'm not over it. We can be friends. We can do this. We can do that. And I realized, like, you know what? I'm falling right back into the same situation. No, I got to cut you off for a while.
Right.
We'll revisit in a couple of months. Right now, I need my space. So yeah, last week I really had to sit down and have a talk with myself, not him, with myself. Yeah, it's the healing process of trying to get over it has sucked majorly. Um, I used to be a open book. I didn't mind who knew what, where, how. Now,
Oh, it's some scars that that remind you and that keep you from going forward. And I'm learning that more and more as I progress in this new connection that, oh girl, you're a little bit more damaged than you thought you were, and it's okay because, the communication and you have somebody that's going to work with you and you are being gracious with yourself. But at the same time, it's really a real conversation to have about how the healing process is a continuous one. Like, it's not just a one and done. You just say you over something, because when you have your heart involved again, you're going to have some things that come back up for you. And my best friend had to have a real talk with me the other night. And she was like, you keep getting triggered because you haven't fully forgiven past situations. And when she said that to me, I was just like, how I don't know how else to do it. Like, I don't know, like, what you mean? Like, I forgave as much as I could. But the honest truth is, until I completely let go of the things that were hard on me, and hard on my heart, hard on my spirit, I'm going to continuously be triggered moving forward. And that's something I had to be honest about with myself, because I don't want to sit there and continuously feel like a landmine for somebody else.
that is true. But by the time I turn 40, 50, or 60, I want to be so in love with myself more than I am now. That, like, I don't know. I don't even think I'm looking at marriage anymore.
40 and 50, you like, nah, bump it. You have a whole bunch of little boyfriends in the home.
Yeah, friends. I'll say friends.
They say friends.
Yeah. Your grandma used to say, "Oh, your little friend. Y'all ain't married. That's your little friend."
No, I call my grandma. My grandma be like, "Oh yeah, my friend came over." What friend, grandma? What are you talking about?
Friend. And but yeah, that's kind of what I want. I just want a little bit more. I mean, if something happens along the way, of course, I'm going to put, effort into it. But as of right now, what I see, just falling in love with myself again.
I like that. And that's something that you can always depend on. It's like, you're gonna always be there.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well fall in love and enjoy your journey, your life journey with the one person who is always gonna be there, yourself.
Me.
What about you, Keisha? How do you see your next decades going?
Of course, be married and but better the relationship more, you know. Um, hopefully a family. I don't just one.
Just one. That's it.
Yeah. Like Nee said, in my 20s, I was like, yeah, I want to be married. I want to have 3 kids. We're gonna have this and that. As I got older, going through the 20s and like see friends, and you know, I'm involved with a lot of children. I was like,
I'm good.
Just give me maybe 2, but I'll just take 1 and I'll be happy. And then we just grow as a family. Continue to love ourselves no matter what. Don't want to lose your self-love in that marriage.
Right.
So I'm doing just continue to love myself, love him more. If we get a family, you know, just build love amongst ourselves and love others.
I
love is scary for me right now. Like, and I'd be so like thinking about like, I don't know. How am I trying to say this? Because I'm trying to get real vulnerable right now. It's just scary when I think about like a whole life journey with another person.
It is. It takes an effect because then you sit down and you think about like
what you gonna have to go through.
Yeah, because it was like
because it's not gonna be all roses. It's not.
So you know, my journey the last couple of years, it wasn't all roses. I think within our first year, we experienced that sickness road, and I'm just like, ooh.
Right.
Am I ready for this? Because you know, when you start loving somebody, they get sick. You don't know what to do. You like you don't want them to hurt.
And then the dynamic of the relationship changes too.
Yeah,
changes. And it's like, am I really ready for this? Like, and then we've also been through. Yeah, so it toughens your relationship as you go through stuff, and then you go through death. We've been through several deaths, like on our families, and being there for it's like. Okay, now I got to be there for them when they mourn, you know, and I got to learn how to comfort them. Like, am I really ready for this? That's what I'm telling you. You want that relationship? Sure. That's what you want.
Look, and my best friend told me that. I was just like, listen, I think I had stopped saying that before this happened because I was good with my singleness. Like, this came out of nowhere. Okay. So for me, is understanding that it's okay to be in it. You know, and I had this realization where I was just like, oh my God, I'm not single no more. You know, I'm really not, you know, just plain single anymore. I can always make the decision to go back. But like you said, Keisha, like going through the hard stuff kind of in the beginning of the relationship, or it kind of lets you know what you're getting yourself into and how the person handles conflict, or how the person handles, you know, those moments where everything around you could be like going wrong, but you know, the person is showing up and still making sure that they're being part of the connection that you and them are trying to build. So I mean, it's good parts all up and through there, but I scared.
Don't be scared. I used to be scared as well. I used to be scared to fall in love or even think. Now I love the thought of love. I love the thought of love because I don't know, and the reason why we're so scared of love is because we're selfish. We're scared of removing our selfishness, of considering another human being.
I agree with that. I'll caveat a little bit on that. I agree with that, but I know my capacity to completely remove myself. And that's what makes me scared. Because even though I'm just like, I don't think I'll ever go back to a point where I lose myself in a connection, it's always that thing where it's just like, sometimes you do stuff and you don't even realize, you know, how much you have just poured out because it's in your nature to do so.
I wouldn't even say it's about that. Like, imagine being single for because I don't know how long you were single, but being single and being carefree.
I'm counting. I think it was like a year and a half.
A long time for me.
So it was a long time before this relationship too, and it's gonna be a long time now.
Did you say that? Keep on. That's what I said. Keep on talking, Nick. The universe hear you.
I mean, I could have a friend, but right now it's about me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think and then when I say it's hard for us to consider another human being is because it is not even about losing ourselves. It's about our routine. Like you said, you start to realize your routine change because you understand, like, you have a routine with your family, you have a routine with your friends, you have a routine with your kids, you have a routine with your pets, you have a routine with work. So you have a whole entire life that now you have to fit someone in. And
Right.
in that fitting someone in, others are going to suffer. And that's
Right.
going to
Because it's only
challenge
one
you.
you. It's only
Yeah.
one you.
And that's going to challenge you because whereas not that, okay, I can't go out with my friends, is like,
I'd
Gotta
rather
change
be
it.
home watching
not even that you rather be home watching. When you do go out with your friends, you have to handle yourself in a different way now.
Yeah.
So you can't walk around, or you really do have to kind of change who you
Change you.
are, who
Yeah,
you
because
are
your
let's
because you're in
use
a
the
stature.
word
relationship.
adjust.
Adjust. Okay, perfect. You really do have to adjust who you are and how you act. You don't have to change, everything about yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm flirtatious.
Mm-hmm.
So I know if I went out to a club, if I'm seen and other people know that we talk, they may see me flirting, and it may be very innocent. I may just be flirting to get a drink.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody else sees that, they can go back and tell him. He's gonna feel disrespected. That's gonna cause a whole issue where I may not feel like it's an issue, but he feels like it's an issue. Now we're arguing.
I feel
So,
like
like,
that kind of depends on the connection too, because I do have some men that look at my social media or comment on certain things that I do or have before I got into this connection,
mhm.
and they thought that, oh, you're gonna have to stop some of these things.
Oh no,
But
that no.
here's the thing, like, if you're coming into my space, you already know who I am, and I can adjust for you. Granted, with our boundaries, we of course don't invite somebody in who is going to be thinking that they're going to just
Change you, yeah.
Or
no,
control you.
or
Yeah.
control you, or even on the outside, once like you said, you go out, don't be inviting certain
Certain
things, certain
situations.
certain situations in.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, but it also goes back to your connection as well. Like,
Mhm.
so sometimes I'll come home, I have a pole in my bedroom, I'll come home just so I can dance, and sometimes I might post a little pic, and the person that hit me up be like, you look nice, or, oh, so
But
that's what you're
that's your personality.
doing.
That's who you are, though.
Yeah.
So it's no change in who you are versus acting like a single person. Because you have to understand, like, when we're out and about, or even in our regular lives, we are single. So we act single. We don't realize it until it approaches us. So whereas, like I said, being flirtatious, a slight bit of flirtation that you feel like is harmless because to you in your head, it's not going anywhere. It's not, I'm not doing anything with this individual. I'm not giving this individual my number. This is just this is just a part of my routine to
Mhm.
get me a drink because he's talking to me. I'm just being friendly. I may be a little bit too friendly, might rub on it, but you have to understand
What
that.
rubbing on me?
No,
What?
I know a
Oh,
shoulder,
okay.
rub on the shoulder, like, hey, okay, a little tap.
Got you. I was just playing.
But you never know how that may look to someone else and how that other person may feel. Like, when it comes to posting pictures and stuff like that, no, I don't feel like that should be adjusted. Or you going out with your friends, how you dress, all of
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't be adjusted because that's a part of your personality. That's a part of who you are. That's you. But just acting single, because if you're in a relationship, if you're married, you're not going to be, you don't want your significant other out there flirting with women, being in their face, buying them drinks, right? So that's how you have to look at it.
I was gonna share a story, but I'm not gonna share it. Because I mean, and I agree. To a certain extent, like, so, like I said, it comes back to whatever connection you have and whatever was in place before, right? So I know I just had a situation where I had to tell the person that I was dealing with, like, it's okay to go mingle, go put on the charm. This is a purpose for you to do this stuff, go do what you do, because it's a part of you building up whatever business that you have. I'm okay. I know what place is coming from. I know that it's us, so it's okay for you to go and do these things. Um, but I can understand, like you said, like at the core of it, the message is you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to compromise some things that you're used to. And I think for me, my routine, the reason why I've been so married to it is because it's how I rebuilt myself and how I rebuilt my self-esteem after, the last situation that I was in. So as far as like going, waking up in the morning, going for a walk, going to the gym, going to yoga, taking the pet out, having those routines where you just kind of rebuilding your life after, you've had a situation that kind of broke you down. I think that's why people sometimes are so reluctant to start changing that routine because they feel like they're good. It feels like you're losing yourself because your routine is your life, right? So I can understand how, even myself, I've been hesitant of it, but because I'm aware, I make sure that I don't overreact, and try to just close back in because it's easy to feel like, oh no, I'm just start doing my own thing again.
I'm just gonna go ahead and ghost you, love.
You know what? It's been nice, but you have to get past that discomfort to get to the other side of something that could be more than worthwhile. So
out of your comfort zone.
All right, we're gonna go on to sex and maturing.
You.
Ladies, what do you do to feel sexy? Keisha, let's start with you.
Okay. So I love to, of course, go the basics, get my hair done, my nails, my toes, my eyebrows. But I also like to, stay, shaved up, waxed up or whatever. But I also like to, like on Saturdays, a nice little sundress, just walk around, just be free, just
That's a
enjoy
sundress.
the sundress, the little
be
mini
free commando, huh?
Yeah, free commando, and just walk around, play some old school music, take care of my household. And I know that I'm taking care of my business and looking good at the same time. So when he comes home from work, he know what he got.
Oh,
hey. All right. All right, Neat, what about you?
I like to have a sexy day. I love lingerie.
Me too. I got a whole cabinet full of just lingerie.
I'm trying to learn how to hang them up because I have so much. I have a subscription with Savage, Adore Me.
How is that? Oh, I like Adore Me too, and I said I was gonna try them out. How is Savage though? Because sometimes I feel like the material might be like a little, I don't know.
I love it. It is the best. The best. I love the little bralette. Oh my god,
I love
it.
A good bralette, honey. Yes.
And I don't even have much. So
I have none, so it's okay.
But yeah, I love just like when I get off of here, pour myself some wine, make me a nice hot bubble bath, relax, put on some nice music, put on my lingerie, and I sleep by myself in my lingerie.
Like
I love that. It makes me feel so, I don't know, it makes me feel sexy. Or even on a Saturday afternoon, I will get up if I don't have my kids. All of this is when I don't have kids, and I usually every weekend don't have my kids. On a Saturday morning, I will try to get up as early as I can, take a walk so I can kind of wake myself up, go treat myself to a coffee somewhere, Starbucks or at a coffee shop. I will actually get dressed. Not like just a t-shirt and jeans. Like I will actually get dressed. Like you even see if you anytime you come and record with us, you'll see like I might be dressed up.
Oh, like, yeah, you was gorgeous the other week. Yes, honey.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes you just need to feel pretty.
Right.
And that's just my moment of, you know what? I work from home. My hair is a bush. Let me do something with myself today so I can feel cute. I'm not doing it for the fellas. Right. I'm not doing it for anybody. It's just for me. I just want to feel pretty. Or I might even just put on makeup one day just to feel beautiful.
Right.
have my little moment. Take pictures.
I can really, girl, the pictures, the makeup, the lingerie, I relate to all of it. Like you said, getting myself up, taking myself to go have breakfast, probably doing a walk in the park. Sometimes I get dressed depending on my mood. So if I feel playful, it's probably crop top. Well, when it's warm enough, it's probably a crop top, some, flat shoes and a high-waisted jean, and I'm going for a bike ride. If I'm feeling more like, embodying my masculine energy, is probably some baggy clothes with, some heels to go with it. But all of it just kind of speaks to my own sensual power and how I want to present it that day. So me feeling sexy is just me a lot of times just creatively expressing myself, whether it be through how I look, what I choose to do, because bubble baths are a staple in my house. I just took one probably like 3:00 today. I don't
We're
wait.
on the same page.
When I get the urge to take a bubble bath, I take it. And sometimes it could just be like lighting my candles. I have so many candles in my house, lighting the candles, setting the ambiance. Sometimes I'll just put on perfume. I might be in some sweatpants and I might not be looking that great, but I put on my perfume and I smell delicious and I feel sexy. So it's all about what makes me feel comfortable in my own skin, is how I'll put it. That is what makes me feel the sexiest, is when I feel like I'm just being who I naturally am and I'm just showing up. So, how have your turn-ons changed over the years? So, like when you were 20, what used to turn you on versus now?
I'm gonna let y'all go first.
What used to turn me on? That doesn't now, because I feel like I should. What used to turn me on that doesn't now? I felt like I was one of those people who like guys who were like quote unquote popular, and it felt special if they liked you. But now I'm just like, I really don't care. Just show up and be yourself, and we'll see if we are a good fit for each other. But that was probably a turn on, just the status, the high school thing, the status of the person, and if they were desirable to other people. That's not. I feel like I got a lot of the same. Now that I think about it, because how you look, and it might sound petty, but I like someone who can dress. I want to know that you can put some effort into yourself, because to me, that's a form of like self-care. I want to know that you care about like cologne. I like that. That's a turn on for me. I like to know that you care about smelling good.
Nice.
Good.
And some men can do it with just soap and deodorant, and Lord, that's another mixture. But
baby,
when you put the cologne on top and it just flows together, it's just whew. Someone who can make me laugh has always been a turn on for me. I can't even say that's just something that was exclusive to my 20s, because it's working well within my 30s.
That's never gonna change.
It's probably not. But yeah, I don't know. Y'all thought of any turn-ons? Okay.
All right. So in my 20s, my turn on was money.
Yeah, I date a lot of broke guys. Maybe that's my problem.
Well, like when I was like 19, 20, like I was heavy in I'm not gonna say in the music industry. I was trying to be a basketball wife. Like I was in it when I was at the parties. Like that was a small, very small lived lifestyle that I had. Like I've been flown out. What is it called? Flown out.
Flew.
Yeah, flown out to little places here and there. Been to private parties, but that. And I used to date drug dealers because that's who had the money around here.
They always got the money.
So I would be very like, if you had a nice watch on and some nice shoes and you look clean, look like you had a little bit of bread, and I seen you 3 or 4 times and you didn't wear the same outfit. Okay, you okay.
Right.
Now it's totally different. I don't even look at face.
Flashy. Yeah.
I don't like flashy at all. I don't look at your face anymore. which used to be a big thing back in the days. Like you had to be cute. Now it's like it's all about personality, like the way a man carries himself. Like
Mm-hmm.
he can be he can have on a regular t-shirt from Walmart and just some regular jeans, some regular sneakers, but they fit well. He
Right.
smells clean. His skin is shining.
The nails
Clean,
clean.
yeah. Like he can smell just like soap. And just like, the way he talks, like a deep voice, and he knows he doesn't even have to know what he's talking about. It's just he could just be speaking in a
Something about
tone
a
to where it's
smooth. It's like
firmly.
oh my god, yeah. It's like something about a voice that's deep enough. Because a lot of men don't have really deep voices, but when you get that deepness that's still like a little silky,
Yeah,
so
and
it's
then
still
it's
smooth.
firm. Oh my God!
Oh,
Like, no, this is what we're doing tonight. Okay.
okay,
Um,
Dad. So I'm like, I'm kidding, y'all.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah. I am all for it. That really, really turns me on. And a man that can lead, that that is my
Yeah,
biggest thing. Like, and I didn't look for that at all in my 20s. I didn't even pay that attention because that wasn't even my focus at that time.
yeah. I
So
think I
now,
think my main focus was making sure that I was the type of woman that could just fit with any kind of man. So a lot of times I end up leading anyway. But I think something that I was looking for was like the extra bravado, that extra masculinity, that like
mhm,
toxic masculinity in a lot of ways. Somebody who, wasn't afraid to get into a fight and stuff like that because I felt
oh, Joe,
protected.
baby.
And now I'm just like, give me the quiet.
Yeah.
give me the
We
quiet strength. I want the
we
person
ain't
in the
even going
corner.
there.
Right. I want the person in the corner that's just looking at everybody like y'all stupid. Like give me that
Yeah.
guy. So
Like, and
that's
I want someone
probably
that can teach me, and once you and I love a man that can sit down and teach me something and talk to me about something without
without
degrading me,
without
making
being
me feel
Yes,
condescending.
small,
yes.
Oh, that's the
making
biggest
me
turn on.
like it just does something to me. He'd be like, "Oh no, I don't mind showing you
Hmm.
this. Won't you try this?" Instead,
Right.
especially if I do it wrong. Yeah.
Listen, I'm on the
Listen.
same page with you because so many men think they're good at like, or they'll have this mindset that I know more than you, and so they
Mhm,
approach teaching you in that way. When a lot of times I'm just like I'm just as smart as you. Like you don't
mhm.
have to talk to me this way. I can just tell me I did it wrong and then show me how to do it. You don't have to. I need some gentleness. I need you to walk me through it. And when a guy can do that and not make me feel like he's like you said condescending or being an ass, it's just
Mhm,
like, oh wow, because I'm so used to being the one that's teaching.
mhm. And I think that's just in our independent, like we're independent women.
Hmm.
So we feel like we have to kind of lead. Like I have to teach you how to do XYZ. But for a man to come in, and this is like one of the biggest things, and I was always taught this from one of my neighbors, never to get a man that can't do anything. So if he can't fix the sink, that's okay. He knows somebody that can call, that can come and fix it.
Right.
That is a turn on to me that he's gonna handle it. Like, oh, don't
Right.
worry about it. It's gonna get handled.
Right. I
Get it
don't, because I
tired.
don't want to be in charge all the time. Like we can share some of the weight,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm to a point now in my life that the biggest turn on is when a man can step into my space and be the man. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
let you lead because you already doing it.
You're
You know what I'm
there.
saying? You don't have to tell me to step out the way because I'm already kind of yielding to your masculine energy and you're allowing me to feel empowered in my femininity. So, oh yeah. Keisha, go
What
ahead
about
and
you,
yeah.
Keisha?
Well, I agree with everything that you said. That y'all both was talking about. In 20s, of course I looked more for a guy that I thought was gonna please my family,
Mm,
and I was like, no, I can't date you because you got this going on. My mom and daddy or my grandparents not gonna accept it. But now I'm to the point like this is who I love or who I want to be with. You either accept them or not.
right.
Especially we're on the right path and everything. I'm, definitely looking for more acceptance for myself versus family. And then, of course, I looked at that perfect body. So I don't want no man that got this. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's like,
Little
Both
dad
of
bod
us
ain't
can't
never
be
hurt
smart.
nobody.
Yeah, I need a little
Listen.
lump right there because I need some heat because I can't keep no heat. So I need somebody to be able to warm me up in the cold,
Big
So
arms.
big
Oh.
arms can
Big
hold
hands.
me, So yes. And like you said, just a simple shower, smell good. It ain't gotta be, strong, overpowering, but something that's smooth and yeah. So yeah.
I
And
think
like you
that's
said, lead.
yes. I think that fits into all of our personalities as well, of who we want in our space. Like, you don't want the loud, always has attention, always looking flashy individual if you're not that type of individual yourself.
Right. True. I mean, because some of what we're saying could be a turn on for somebody else, even though it's a turn off for
Yeah.
us. You're completely right. But for me, my house is always pretty much quiet. Some days I don't even turn on my TV. And if I'm listening to anything, it might be a podcast or it might be some music. So I'm just like, if I'm inviting you in my space, I need for you to understand that the quiet hours, okay? I need for you to
Yes.
come in here and don't disrupt whatever piece I got going on. That means your cleanliness, that means your tidiness, that means your atmosphere, whatever aura you're bringing, your energy, all that has to match and be compatible with what I already have, and vice versa. So
That was a big compromise I had to do because my significant other, when it was just me, I didn't care for cable. I only had Wi-Fi. So when we started moving in, he's like, "You ain't got no cable? For what? I come home and just listen to some music." He's like, "I gotta watch TV. Well, you can pay that bill." And slowly got into it. But again, when I want my space, my quietness, hey, I'm going in the room, don't bother me. I need to just relax. Nothing against you. I just need to have my own time. So that was a compromise we had to do for each other.
right. And I'm running into that too, because the game and stuff come on and you got the speakers hooked up to the TV now, the whole neighborhood can hear the game or music or whatever. And I've learned I love that energy because I feed off other people's energy when it's good energy. So I don't mind it, but also knowing when to turn it off is a thing too. Knowing that I don't have to constantly deal
with that.
with a loud household or somebody who's trying to be flashy all the time or want attention. Even having somebody who understands when I need to be alone.
Oh yeah.
And that
Right.
it's not anything dealing with you. It's totally something dealing with me that I'm fine. I just need some alone time.
I agree. I one of the great things in my last relationship that we had so similar that we were calm. And it's crazy because we had a 9-year difference.
Well, sometimes that's how it works.
Yeah, but like as far as like he didn't like company. I don't like company. Like it's very hard for me to set up and say, okay, my friends, y'all want to come over? Like I really have to like put it in myself. Like, okay, people are gonna come over to your house because I like my stuff a certain way. Like I think I had friends over and somebody brought somebody else over and she was sitting on my stove and it bothered me.
How you sit on somebody's stove?
Like she was leaning against it.
Oh, okay.
Like
But her butt cheek was on the burner.
Yeah, not on the burner. It was on the oven handle. And it was just like, oh my God, it's messing up my towel, please. And I even told her like, hey, no disrespect, but
you gotta move your cheek.
He moved, he sit down, I got a chair.
Right.
But like, yeah, I just like my things in a certain place in a certain way, and I like for it to be tidy. Yeah. So for both of us to be that way, like, the house is clean. You're not even going to come over here if it's not clean. I'm not going to say, oh, excuse the mess. No, you're just not going to come over here if it's a mess. So we were both calm individuals. We were both individuals that we like sports. So we could watch sports all day versus the situation that I had before him. He was very, very loud, very flashy. Like anytime we went out of town, it wasn't to look at the culture or like I'm more of a adventure person. Like I like to see
museums, zoos.
Yeah, I like to see what it has to offer. I like to see the historic things. He was more as in, where's the nightlife? Yeah, and I'm like, there's so much more. Like the nightlife is the same everywhere. Yeah, it's just different people, and it may have different prices. Like I'm not really into that. I don't like being seen. I like to be seen when I want to be seen, and then I like to be,
Low key.
relaxed when I want to be low key.
Right.
So like that's what we kind of hit, and I could not compromise that. Like, nah, being on Snapchat, no.
Oh
Put your phone
yeah,
down.
the
Put your
social
phone
media
down.
and stuff like that. And I mean, and those are conversations, of course, that are unique for the time that we're living in. But definitely, coming back to the compromises, because I'm a neat freak too. I'm someone, I will notice when that pillow is not in place, or if you move some of my stuff. Um, and having a not so neat person, I don't mind cleaning up, because I'm just like, if you cooking, I'll clean up. Like it doesn't, and learning that sometimes the balance happens in weird ways, that you balance out whatever, connection you're trying to build in whatever household you're, building with that person. The next question is, how have your thoughts of sex changed over the years?
My sex drive increased.
I hear
Yeah.
that a lot, and mine did too. Probably within the last 2 years. I've always been a little rabid,
Mm-hmm. After I
but
turned 26.
I don't know. I didn't think it could get worse.
Oh, it's gonna get worse and
Mhm.
worse. I remember when I was 23 years old, no, about 23, 24 years old, and I was talking to a woman that was my age at
Mhm.
the time. And we were having a conversation about sex, and I was like, girl, please, I can't do all of that, and didn't know. And she was like, give it a few years, love. It's gonna get worse, and it's gonna get worse. And I'm like, whatever. And surely enough,
It got
as the
worse.
years, yeah, it's just like in that 9 year gap that me and my ex had, it was so crazy because oh God, he would be like, oh my God, that you're not that young, you realize that. I'm like, I know, okay, you ain't gotta sit here and constantly throw that in my face. But like, I'm just like, whoo,
Okay,
I shock
neat.
myself sometimes. But what
So
I've
the myth of
also,
the drip is true.
it's definitely true. But what I've also noticed is that my body, I started to pay attention to my body. I
Mhm.
learned my body in its cues. So
Yeah.
just because I'm turned on doesn't mean my body wants it.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll just have like something could have stimulated you, that, it could
Hmm.
have been simple as like you wearing some jeans and, something's happening, or
Not even that, somebody's voice.
somebody, it could be something, a smell. And
Yeah.
for me, I like you said, I in my 20s I did a really good job of learning my body enough to know, different functions, and especially within this last year and a half I've been learning my body a lot more. So when the change started happening, I was just like, all right, girl. Every time you want it, you don't have to get it. You can relax, you can chill, you can allow yourself to crave a little bit, instead of
Hmm.
feeling as though you have to fulfill this desire, because you can get into a space where your sex drive becomes one of those things where it can become a focal point if you're not careful in
Oh,
a
definitely.
relationship or a connection. And I'm not saying that to tell anybody to what's the word I'm looking for, to restrict themselves from pleasure. I'm just
Hmm.
saying, understand that it's more to your body than just your sex drive, and understand the changes that are happening are for a reason, because there is a thing where your sex drive goes up after 30. So
It truly does. And I will say this also, going back to, your body gives you cues. Not even just with, you don't have to always answer
mhm.
when you're aroused. I noticed that, like for instance, and this is going back to my single time. Um, I would feel aroused, but I wouldn't be so. My body would show me that I don't want him. I'm not aroused, but my body would tell me, like, no, baby, you don't want him. When the
and
other one,
dripping.
call the other one. Yeah,
Got you.
call the other one. Call the other one. So I started to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Like, your body will reject a man. Like, bruh, like, no, no. Even though I'm turned on, I want him. No, we
Right.
don't want him, love. So I had to have that connection, that talk with this.
Mhm.
So, like, that's something I definitely, that definitely changed.
Right. As far as sex goes, though, the quality of sex has definitely improved. Thank God. I didn't realize how bad the quality of sex I was having until I got good sex. Like, and that didn't come until close to my 30s. It really didn't happen until like 28, 29.
I'm sorry.
And it was partly my fault. You know, we get into this, oh, we think we gotta look cute during sex. We think we gotta do certain stuff, and you really restrict yourself from expressing in an act that's supposed to be all about pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And not all about pleasure, but you know, it's pleasurable, and you're restricting
Mm-hmm.
yourself because you think that you have to live up to these expectations on how you look, how you smell, how you do this, how you moan, how you sound, and all this stuff. And it's just like I got to a point where I wasn't even orgasming because I'm so far in my head. But the older I got and the more I understood my body, and the
Mm-hmm.
more other men understood my body, which was
Mm-hmm.
important because they're maturing too, right? So they're getting that sex is not just about you. It's about the both people, and it's about pleasing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from, you know, minute men to, you know, men who can do something.
Sometimes a minute man just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, you're right. It still pops up in the 30s. I wouldn't know anymore, but
Yeah, you don't know anymore. But the minute mans and them small Joes. But
oh no.
you start to appreciate those small Joes though. And
Yo, you do. You do. I had
you start
one
to
to show me up, and I was just like, well, okay, sir.
yeah, you're like, all right, look at you, sir. Look at coming to the ballpark to play. All right.
Keisha,
What
go ahead
about you,
and hop
Keisha?
in. Look, you can be blushing over there.
It's changed over time. Before younger, it was just have fun, didn't care. But as you got
Mhm.
older, start become more intimate. Once you become intimate with that person, it's better.
Yeah.
It makes it worth the while, you know. Instead of just going in having fun, okay, now you can go. But now when you become more into with one person, being one, it becomes more intimate, and then it starts enjoyable.
Yeah, because I definitely had earlier in my 20s where, you know, you feel like you in love and you so in love with the person, and you think it's great. It is great on the, you know, for what it is at that age. But
Blurry.
now
Sit
the
down.
intimacy is different because you know you have a better understanding of yourself and what you need. And when that person provides it to you, for
Mm-hmm.
you to have that the act of making love or having sex or wherever you want to call it, doing the horizontal dance, whenever you do it, it's just deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It is.
better because you know that you are being fulfilled on not only that level, but so many other levels.
Other
Everything else is
levels.
taken care
Mm-hmm.
of. So I can just relax and allow you to, you know, fulfill this need that my body has.
It's a different type of conversation as well.
Hey builders, that was part 1 of Sex, Love, and Dating After 30. For part 2, tune in Friday for a very special release, and we can continue the conversation. See you then. Bye.